Showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
Yo, we are here. We are here for another show. Welcome, folks. Welcome, everybody that's coming in for another week of GCOM Radio. I'm your host, Nova Phoenix, your host on GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio. And we are doing it again, a short one this time. Yes, I know, folks. You're like, yo, why does this guy keep on going back and forth? Because there's just so much things that I got that I'm working on, and you just can't give time for everything. You got to do the personal and the business, and there's a lot of things happening with the business. A lot of things fall to the wayside. As I said, I don't even speak to a lot of people, man. That's my fault. I don't speak to a lot of folks, so it is what it is, and I'm here giving you guys information and anything that's going on for the week. And just start the conversation amongst your own peoples and your family and all that. So this is going to be a short one because I got, as I said before, reaching out to VCs this year. I have a conference that I'm going to be a part of. It's called Venture Summit Global. And, I just want to get all my ducks in a row and just get into the zone. That's why I'm doing a short show this time around, because that involves a lot of different things. So, yeah, this is going to be a short one, and the next week I'll just have a full one for you guys. So let's just get right into it, man, just to give you the info. So, by the way, I hope your week was going beautiful. And as I always say, there's always the bad that goes along with the beautiful, and that you could turn into learning lessons. So let's just get started. So first thing I like to say is condolences to all the families who lost loved ones in the Surfside residential building collapse in Florida. It's crazy. It's unfortunate. This happening say about close to 10 days ago, I guess, something around there. I think June 24th. And now they're coming around that they're going to, they're talking about demolishing the rest of the building for obvious reasons. About 24 people have died, several injured, and a number of people are still missing. So it's sad to hear all the stories and reading the articles up on what's happening to the people at the Surfside residential complex. Still, I don't understand what happened to cause this out of nowhere. I mean, think about it. How many buildings fall in a city? Just out of nowhere. And these are just one of those freak accidents that just happened. That's just been laying in the cut, and it just, things just started to kind of pile up and compound, and all these issues with this building structurally, and it just finally gave. Now, this building was built 40 years ago, and I'm like, okay, who do you blame for that? I mean, the people that built this building, they're like in retirement years. And then of course they're going to blame somebody. They're talking about the building inspector, the company that does the building inspection, and something about there wasn't proper sealant to the pool nearby the building, which the water kind of traveled its way over to the garage or something or other like that. They're just trying to figure out what was the root cause of this building collapsing out of nowhere. I mean, this collapse happened around 1. Can you imagine, 1 o'clock in the morning, people are in bed sleeping, and all of a sudden the floor gives out and you're falling 50 to 100 feet. That's you're not expecting it. It's really sad. So condolences to all of the families that lost loved ones in this building collapse. Just makes you think. Actually, it's funny that this happened. There's another building nearby that they're actually condemning with people in it, because they don't want to take any chances. I guess this building nearby is related to the one that collapsed, and they want to kind of close out. It's interesting to know what the process is. What's the process with FEMA, with the government, with local and city and federal, as far as how they're going to place these people that lost their homes for ones that got out okay, or in the areas or portions of the building that did not fall? I'm always wondering, how do they actually do that process? You know, they put them in this building. Does the federal government pay for their new house, or what's the process that, So this kind of came up. So I'll probably just type in a couple things over the time, but most important is human life for all those, and for those that got out, you're out, man. So hug your loved ones, your family, your friends, and man, you missed this one. Yeah. Next thing, Ryan Coogler and his own company, Proximity Media banner, inked a 5-year deal with Disney Plus to do a Wakanda series. Now that's hot. They're doing a Wakanda, of course, on stories of Wakanda, the different characters. Of course, they're probably going to involve the Dora Milaje. Could it be, the main, what's her name? Denai Guerrera, that's going to be in that Disney Plus? More than likely, it would make sense. And there was another sister that she was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She has like parts of the Dora Milaje. She was in that little Disney Plus joint, so maybe they could give a lot of screen time to her. I don't know, but I'm interested to see how they're gonna play out this movie, this whole world. I think that's super dope, man. Wakanda. I'm looking forward to that. All right, so Facebook defeated an antitrust lawsuit brought on by a bipartisan panel and the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, to discuss the growing control of the platform. And also, along with defeating the antitrust lawsuit, they also made a serious milestone by being the first $1 trillion social media company, evaluated $1 trillion. I don't know if there are any other companies that kind of did that, but yeah, they pushed over that line. So the DC District Judge, James Boasberg, presided over the case. Now, the lawsuit was about... So the lawsuit got shut down because the judge presiding over the case felt that the description of Facebook as a monopoly, what the lion's share of their market was, because the bipartisan panel said that they own 60% of the market, but by what metrics that the judge was saying, by what metrics are you making this assessment that they own 60% of the market? They couldn't really detail that, and they couldn't really detail what the competition was up that opposes Facebook, and that's one of them. Were three of the main reasons why Judge Boasberg kind of threw out that case. So now they're saying through this whole dealings with these antitrust laws in Facebook that the understanding of the antitrust laws are too vague. And how it's explained to understand Facebook's motivation of using the consumer, quote unquote, welfare that only improves their efficiency towards their users. Now, some experts are saying that is a problem because it only hides their pro-monopoly philosophy within the interpretation of the law. And then, for example, they're saying Twitter that bought Vine. Vine was an app that only shared about 6-second videos to its users, and because Twitter bought it and placed it on FB's platform, as FB marketed as an open platform for developers. I don't know what particular part of FB did that by saying by marketing they had it as an open platform developers. I probably totally missed that about as one of the tools that FB was using at the time. But they're saying in internal emails that Mark Zuckerberg agreed to push off Twitter and Vine off their platform because it was, of course, they decided not to have it. It could be problematic in Mark Zuckerberg's eyes. But FTC saw that as a problem because it was just a practice of their anti-competitive practices. The judge decided otherwise because he didn't feel that it was, he decided otherwise because not so much as it being a monopoly move, but more so if it was done illegally, that he would side with that decision. But he was against that. The Judge Boasberg also ruled that FB could kick off his rivals, and it has a right to do that because, that's their platform and they could do what they want. So that shouldn't be a problem, even if it meant killing off competition. The decision is crazy in what he made. Some people did dislike that because there's so much layers and nuance to how the antitrust laws are interpreted from one ear to the next. And that the experts are saying that they got to come with a little bit more detail and structure how they're formulating their antitrust argument when it comes to Facebook and other companies that want to run a monopoly. And it's not over because the judge is saying the FTC and the commission can refile with a clear explanation with the terminology and definitions when presenting their case to the court again. But it kind of relates to what I was going through last week. And I know this has something to do with it. And you're probably saying, Nova, you tripping. You just bugging out. There's probably something wrong with the algorithms. But I always thought that it was somehow I was connected to how Facebook was treating me because I've always promoted my account on IG as a social media platform that's on IG. And yes, I didn't have any evidence, but I found it peculiar that they would kind of, as I said before, take my ability to promote off the account, and also now them out of nowhere threatening to kind of destroy my account, deleting my account based on whatever. They never gave me a reason. Now, I use the Twitter and Vine as an example because within a lot of different articles, they were saying that's a well-known platform. Of course, Twitter and Vine, but there are a lot of other companies that's within the same lane as Facebook that's getting the same treatment. So this is going to be interesting how we go forward. Of course, when the FTC and this bipartisan panel refiles with the district courts, and I think it's important to really understand and meet Facebook face to face when it comes to the monopolization of social media platforms. Because my thing is, as I've always said to other people, and also on this radio show, was that how can we have Nike and Puma and Reebok and all these other major sneaker brands, and then also you have some sneaker brands that are coming up, whether they're boots, their running shoes, their basketball shoes, in whatever different designs, that you can still have space for companies like Lugs. You can still have space for a variety of different new sneakers that we see in these stores, and they have room within the sneaker market. Now, if we can have all these major brands and these lesser known brands have room within this market, how come we can't have that same understanding within the social media market? I mean, you have Facebook, Instagram, which owns Facebook. We have Twitter. We have, what else? We have TikTok. Of course, we have Clubhouse that came into play. I can't say Reddit because I don't think that's more of a social media. That's more of a, people putting threads and comments and asking questions. And if they have any issues with something they're getting stumped on, it's not something I consider like a social media, but you get where I'm coming from. So whatever fits within that definition of being a social media platform. So I'm going to keep my eye on it and see where this goes, because even I have a dog in the fight as the founder of Lyfeblood.com, and see how I can have my space within this market as well. Now, I always say that I never professed to wanting to kick or push Facebook off the map. I never professed that, but I know there's always room, and I know there are people that are getting tired the way how Facebook does their thing, and they're seeking other universes or other spaces where they can actually do what they can, and they're not going to be inundated with ads, or they won't be tracked as a lot of what this new thing that's happening with a lot of websites now. These apps, they want to track your whereabouts so they can market products to you better. I think that's super invasive, even for when you're trying to sell you a product or service. I think that's weird. I don't think they should be able to do that. And also as a space for people to really do something that's just not solely communication, talking with your friend that you knew since high school or grade school. If you know somebody in your field, this is a space where you can actually do real things, real concrete things. That now it's just not about communicating on the platform, but it's also about making those connections in the real world. And in the inventions that you make, and the ideals that you believe in, and the different ways that you can express yourself as you go out there in the real world and talk to your community. So yeah, my eyes will be on this. What else is going on? Well, hey man, I saw this thing online, and it was interesting. I just saw this online. I saw this July 3rd. And I saw this article. They're saying in 2 a.m. in the morning, 11 heavily armed men were caught on I-95. They were pulled up. Now, they weren't pulled on the road. Cops saw 2 cars with their hazard lights on. 2 a.m. in the morning, they investigated. They approached the car, and groups of men were outside the car, or in whatever. They were heavily armed with long guns and pistols and military-style gear. And this was shocking to the police officers that were on I-95, and they were going from, as they were saying, from the words that were being said in this article, they were going to training in Maine, coming from old Rhode Island, traveling to Maine to do training. So the cops told them to drop their guns, blah, 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 blah. Of course, they refused, and then they ran into the woods. So now, I was thinking like, this is wild. To me, I always think if ain't no shooting, then they can't be black. Yeah, that's what I think. I say, keep it real. That's what I think sometimes. If the shots weren't fired, they mustn't have been black. So I'm already thinking on some like super militia type groups going to Maine. I'm like, Rhode Island, Maine. Yeah, this guy. So I'm looking further into this joint, and it turns out that they're not some crazy far-right militia. This is supposedly this group in other articles that were saying they're from some small organization, a black organization called Rise of the Moors. And I'm like, huh? Rise of the Moors? So they were saying, the police officers on I-95 or whatever departments that they go to, they saying they're well aware of organizations that feel that they're separate from the government, they're separate from the United States of America, they go by their own, they have their own rights, blah 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 blah. And this Rise of the Moors and the leaders said they're not anti-government, they're not anti whatever, they're just here to do their training, blah 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 blah. They all got arrested. And now, a further investigation. So now I'm sure that the FBI is looking. I'm sure the FBI at this point, they're checking out this organization and seeing what they're about. So that was out of left field. I did not expect that. I was like, Rise of the Moors. They do have their website, and reading up on it. So, hey, even I don't even have problems with militias, right? Even far-right militias. And I say that to say that you have a right to, your Second Amendment rights. You have a right to believe in what you want to believe in. Just as long as it doesn't bring any harm to people, places, and things, hey, you have your right to do what you want for your own beliefs. So there are a bunch of right-wing militias that are out there in America. Hey, do what you're going to do. But then it comes to be a problem when you have what happened January 6th. That's when it's a problem. When you want to cause harm and violence to people, that's when it's a problem. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And the government has actually already said it. There's a lot of white supremacists, far right organizations that preach certain things, and some of them were there on January 6th. And of course, even if I was the FBI and I saw this go down, yeah, everybody would be on my list. So, am I saying this is who the Rise of the Moors are? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you have a right to do what you do, and as long as they don't cause harm to anybody, then that's the American way, right? You have a right to all the rights and liberties of being an American citizen. yeah, that's why. Let's see how this goes down. As you can hear, it's people are setting off fireworks. It's on and popping. Yeah, people. It's 4th of July weekend, so I know a lot of people are having fun, busting off those bottle rockets. I used to do that when I was younger. Bottle rockets and M80s and man, all types of loud ass firecracker. I don't do that no more. I'm a lot older. I need peace. I need peace. I want to hear all that during the day. I'm with it. I'll go see the fireworks. Actually, I'm going to go see the fireworks with the fam. Hey, I'll see fireworks. But other than that, man, I hate hearing firecrackers because you trying to do your thing or you watching TV and you got to hear. Remember last year, folks, that was going off. That didn't even happen this year. Strange reason. But we don't hear before. Remember last year, 2020, during COVID, and everybody was sheltering in. Them things was going well off 2 or 3 weeks in advance of July 4th and 2 weeks afterwards. So I haven't really heard that really go off like how it did in 2020. But yeah, man, I ain't with all that. Anyway, let me go ahead. The Brooklyn Museum, man. The Brooklyn Museum is sending back 1,300 pre-Columbian artifacts back to Costa Rica. And some of these items are 2,000 years old. And I think this is the second time that the Brooklyn Museum is doing that. And a lot of the people that are part of antiquities or historical organizations down in Costa Rica are pretty ecstatic about it. That one individual said that he's seen a lot of these artifacts on paper, and it's good to actually see these things in real life. And that just makes me think, man, museums. To think about how they came about with all these items in there, it makes me think of Black Panther. You know what I mean? When you have my man at the beginning and he was talking about, yeah, what's this one? Where is it from? Yeah, all this shit is stolen. Really, all this shit is stolen, really. You know what I mean? So a lot of African countries actually are reaching out to France, reaching out to Britain, reaching out to other European countries to kind of send back all those artifacts they stole during the colonization years in Africa. Some are responding with the hell no, and others is like, oh, we'll give some stuff back anyway. But it makes me think of what museums stand for. What how all these men that were a part of human history related disciplines, and they took this stuff, whether it's from looting and plundering, and they stole these historical artifacts from these countries, or they got it by other means, buying and selling on the black market and actually putting it in their museums. And you see all this stuff, most of the stuff that are in these museums are stolen or taken in some way. So I don't know, man. I could say at the very least, what these museums should do, if these artifacts have been taken illegally, stolen through those plundering years so many decades and centuries ago, that whatever people that go to these museums to see these artifacts and figurines and whatever, in whatever capacity, whatever that they're holding, that the museums should cut the check to some of these countries, because that's why people are going to these museums in the first place. Whether they're from Africa or South America or China or India or any one of these, in Turkey, if you're holding artifacts that wasn't done on the up and up with the people in some past time, then the only fair thing to do is whatever money that you have grossed in that year from all those people going to those parts of your museum, you should cut a check to those tribes or to those people or to the country where you got it from if you're not going to give it back. I think it's only fair, right? So it makes me, and there's a bunch of stuff, as I've heard from a lot of different people within archaeology, anthropology, people in universities that are within these fields. There's so much stuff, say in like Egyptian antiquity, those artifacts, you may see them in these museums in France and England and all these other places, But they say you haven't seen, there's so much you haven't seen, and they're hidden away, itemized, categorized, numbered in basements that it blows you away how much stuff that's sitting away collecting dust in these museums' basements. So, I mean, like, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I mean, you haven't even seen the half some of these folks are saying. So I do not doubt them, because Egypt was plundered for a whole lot of their riches and their burial items and statues and sarcophagi and anything of royal that has a royal connection. They got it, man. They got it, and they're hiding it away, man. So that's my take on museums. All right, so the next thing, Bill Cosby. This whole Bill Cosby thing, everybody knows that Bill Cosby was released on, I wouldn't say a legal technicality. That's one way of saying it. I think it's also like a legal overreach or something that was done illegally within the courts. The prosecutors said they wouldn't prosecute or send Cosby to jail based on his deposition, and they did it anyway. So they had to release Cosby because of that reason. And now he's free after 2 years of being in jail. So there's a whole lot of talk going on, a whole lot of talk on both sides of people who support Cosby and people who don't support Cosby. And there's some things that I saw that made me realize, I'm like, well, that's interesting. That should be looked into. And I'm going to say this because I'm not even finished. I read a deposition of one of the ladies. Let me see if I can pull up one of the depositions. Oh man, I closed it by accident, but I saved it. Did I save it? Let me see if I saved it. And the lady is, let me see if I can find this deposition. Because I saw someone said on IG that the depositions are available online. Oh, here it is. I did save it. So this particular deposition involves Bill Cosby and this lady, Andrea Constant. I think this was filed, if I'm correct, case 05-00978. I think they're saying that this was taken in 4/11/1973, back in the day. So anyway, if I'm correct, if I'm reading this correct, that this statement was taken back then. So anyway, so the depositions, of course, was not supposed to be released, or he was not supposed to be charged. He got charged anyway. So people are against, people are for Cosby. I can say this. I'll say this. I'm going to read the full deposition. I know there are plenty of other depositions out there. I'm saying this not in support or against Bill Cosby. I think that's important that we do read the depositions on how some of these events went down in the past. And I think that there should be an investigation of the investigation. Because we all know how a system can be against black people. And that's always the initial feeling that African Americans feel when it comes to some high profile celebrity that's being pulled into some court case. It happened with OJ. It happened with, my God, I forgot the golf player, Tiger Woods. And that's happened with Bill Cosby. I'm just tossing it out what's coming off the top of my head. That we know how sometimes the system can be unfair to African American people. So I say at least this, that there should be an investigation of the investigation. We should understand the players in the game, the prosecution, the defense, how the media shapes our thought processes on what we feel about the case. So I think it should be dissected on every piece of information that we could get a hold of, the who, the what, the where, the when, the how, and really kind of come to an understanding before we pass judgment on Bill Cosby on a personal level. On a personal level for people, and I'm saying specifically black people in the community, because this is a heavy argument that's happening within the black community as far as being for and against Bill Cosby. And a lot of it they're saying is hidden in the deposition. and I want to read it. I want to read it and really go through it and come with my understanding on if there was mistreatment of Cosby in the public eye, in the court system, or if he's truly guilty. Now, I'll say this, because a lot of people might say, oh, he's just jibber-jabbering, saying he for Cosby, he with that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying remove all the emotion out of it. Let's deal with the case at hand. Let's deal with the facts, okay? Because sometimes we could get into the mob mentality and on destroying someone, and then all of a sudden it's too late, we rip them apart. And we could get pulled into how the mass media can kind of shape what our feelings should be on a particular subject or a person or whatever the case may be. So being an adult, I want to kind of figure out all this, what's presented in the deposition, as I said, the prosecution, were there any underhanded things that were going down, who Cosby was as a person. Now, I even heard, and I even said this too, there were people even in the entertainment business that were weary of Bill Cosby, because there are certain talks that were happening with certain circles that they were like, man, Bill be getting down like that, but they just didn't have evidence. But even that, you can't take things. You have to take things with a grain of salt, because sometimes there's even rumors within these certain circles of the entertainment business, and all of a sudden you run away with something and it's not really true. So my thing is, we want to deal with facts. And if I could, I swear, if I could, I would do a documentary, kind of like in my own way, breaking down this whole Cosby situation and totally being fair about it, and be like, yo, whether he did it, in what way, even from a Cosby's point of view, and also from all these women. There was like 35 women that kind of came forward saying that Cosby did all those things. And I do believe some of these women were lying. I think some of these women were just trying to get the bag, because that's what it is in this America, man. When there's a celebrity that's really, when there's blood in the water with a celebrity, there's going to be people, piranhas, going to come out there and going to try to take a chunk. But I'm not saying that it's false, that everything is false. But sometimes you have to chip away at all the bullshit and strip it down to this bare form and really seeing it for what it is. And the only way you could do that is kind of like in a documentary, kind of doing the investigation of the investigation. And then the narrator or the person building this documentary would have to come with his assessment or his feelings based on the facts on how this kind of whole thing unfolded. Because it's not the end, of course, on a personal level, but we talk about within our circles out here in America for every American citizen. But legally, I'm not saying that there's not going to be anything else, but he beat the case. You can't try him twice. It's double jeopardy. He's out right now, and I'm sure he's going to sue some people, but whatever. So the last few things I'm going to talk about before I get out of here, man. Lovecraft Country is not going to be renewed. I'm upset about that. I really liked Lovecraft Country, man. It was super dope. I loved everything that we're doing. I'm a big sci-fi person. And when you take black actors and you throw them into sci-fi, it's not done a lot. I see a lot of sci-fi like Star Trek, the Star Wars, and everything in between. But when you want to see a good like fantasy science fiction that has African Americans in there, you don't see it a lot. And Lovecraft Country was definitely a dope venture down that road. And for it not to be renewed is heartbreaking. So there's one thing I didn't get to go see, Meet the Blacks 2. I didn't get to go see Meet the Blacks 2. I just didn't get a chance to come around it. When I actually was searching for it online, I couldn't find any showings. A lot of these theater websites will have the title and the whole thing on the website, and I'm looking for show times, and they don't have any show times. So I don't know why I don't see any show times for this. This movie is not that old. I think it was released like a month ago, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm trying to see this movie so I could cover it. I can't find it anywhere. So you know what? It's cool. It's all good. It's going to be coming online. Now, like I said before in previous shows, the new invention right now, as we all know, is movie streaming, and I think you can make a lot of money on movie streaming. And if Meet the Blacks 2 can't get traction in the theaters, I think it could get traction online if you offer it for rent or to buy on Vudu or Fandango or whatever the case may be. And there are a lot of platforms where you can see films that you just won't get to see on the big screen. Now, certain movies are not going to translate on the big screen. As I said that too. Like, people are going to say, I don't want to spend all my time and going through all the trouble seeing this movie big screen if I'm not so sure if it's going to be good, but I'll see it online. And I think that we shouldn't have to wait for that. And a dope movie that I can suggest that you should go see online right now is The Tomorrow War. I saw that joint, The Tomorrow War. It has my man, what's his name? Let me see. What's my man from The Tomorrow War? Bing. It's on the Amazon right now with Chris Pratt and who are the other actors in this? Yvonne Strahovski, Betty Gilpin, J.K. Simmons, Keith Powers. Everybody's on this. Sam Richardson is in this, and it was super dope. This movie, man. And to me, I don't know if they had a plan to be on the big screen, but this movie was on Prime, Amazon Prime. Yo, that movie was off the chain. Now, if their plan was to put it on Amazon Prime straight to, then they did a bang up job. And like I said, not all great movies are going to be on the big screen. This is the other slice of the pie. The other slice of the pie is to offer it online. If it goes straight online, that doesn't mean you can't have a successful movie if it's not in theaters, man. So, and that leads me into this other film, Idris Elba. That Idris Elba is doing, The Harder They Fall. That's coming on Netflix. I saw the trailer for that. Yo, that's another movie that I'm into westerns, super into westerns since back in the day from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and Fistful of Dollars, and all the Clint Eastwood joints, man. Love westerns. I love a good western. It's just the coolness to it. Like, all you got is your 6 shooters on your hip. I just like westerns, man. That wild frontier. That's what I do. That's what I love. But when it's a western and you have black characters in there, man, that's yo. I'm gonna tell you, Idris is in there. And I always say with Idris, I never thought that Idris had a good opportunity to really give his best Idris in a film. I think Idris is a super talented actor. I think that he just needs a great writer and a great director to put him in a space where he can really perform well. He really get to his acting chops. And there's just a lot of movies that just didn't work out, and it had nothing to do with Idris. I think it was the whole movie in general that I think he should wait it out to get the right movie. I think I'm not one to check a brother's pockets. He probably needed it because he needed to make the money. But sometimes you got to pass over certain movies if you really want to build a dope freaking movie career. You know what I mean? But I think this is it, man. I think this movie really does it. The Harder They Fall. And who's also in it is Regina King, Lakeith Stanfield, Zazie Beetz, Jonathan Majors, Eddie Gathegi. He played Darwin in X-Men First Class. You have Mustafa Shakur. He played Bushmaster in Marvel's Luke Cage. So yeah, man, it's a star-studded cast, man. You got a lot of people in here. I guess if certain people not big, huge stars, but I remember because I'm a movie watcher. I know the movies that they played in before, and these people have great talent, and they should have the opportunity to be in a dope movie. And I think this is going to be an extremely dope movie, The Harder They Fall, because everybody's really throwing in their 2 cents, and it looks like a dope ass western with a bunch of black folk in it. So I encourage everybody to check out that film. Yeah, man, The Harder They Fall. And last thing before I get out of here, I think at this point when this show comes out, I will be kind of like head deep into this Venture Summit Global. It's a conference that's happening that has a bunch of VCs that are kind of connecting with entrepreneurs and founders and all that, and I'm a part of that. That's going to be going on for a couple of days, and that's what I'm going to be in. That's why I'm doing this short show, because I want to make sure that I'm really immersed in really, putting on this founder jacket when I'm talking to these people at Venture Summit. So I do apologize for having a short show, but hey, man, enjoy the other shows that I had before, and I do appreciate everyone listening to me. So in the meantime, please sign up for Lyfeblood.com. It's all about building that community, man. It's all about building economic connections with one another and building an alternative, decentralized way where we can fund each other and have our passions come alive through that funding. So, hey, guys, I'll see you next week. I appreciate you listening to me, and enjoy the rest of whatever's happening with you. And hopefully I'll have some other good news when I'm coming back next week for the other things that I'm working on. So I'm crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, crossing my toes, doing all that good, lucky, superstitious stuff. Hopefully I could really bang out the 2021 the way that I want to. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, then. Peace.
Yo, check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go round. From right here to your town, we out.